Friday edition of Locked On Jaguars. I want to tell the Jags they need to stop settling, and so do the fans. You ain't broke no more. You got money. Start acting like it and spend it wisely. I'll tell you what I mean by that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars on a Friday.
You are Locked On Jags, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is happening, good people? It is Friday, the last Friday before the early tampering period starts. I'm Tony Wiggins here with Locked On Jaguars. Been covering this team for over a decade, whether it be on podcast, terrestrial radio, and of course on social media. And we appreciate you joining us here on Locked On Jaguars, making us your first listen of the day. It's your team every day, and that's why you listen first. And it's also free on all platforms, including YouTube. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. I'm going to talk about broke people that don't have non-broke people habits even when they get money. And the people I'm talking about are the Jacksonville Jaguars, and in some cases, it is the fans of the Jacksonville Jaguars, because they have, and we have all become experts at making lemonade out of a bag of onions. I don't think we know how to act when you actually have money for real lemons. And we have mastered the art of struggling. And trust me, this sounds like a life story of a kid that grew up in poverty that used to figure out how to make gourmet meals out of absolutely nothing that was in the cupboard, but we figured it out. Well, now I got a pocket full of money and I can choose to eat whatever I want to eat every day. And I don't have to make that. I don't have to find those frozen fish sticks and government cheese and figure out a way. I'm giving y'all too much information, but you get my point. My point is sometimes you can be so used to struggling and figuring out things that when you actually have a pocket full of cash or cap space like the Jaguars and high draft picks like the Jaguars, you can tend to continue to do things as if you're morbidly poor because your mindset hasn't changed. And all I've been hearing lately is fans say they can do this. They can get this guy. They can move him to guard. They can keep this guy and move him to guard. They don't have to get rid of this slot guy. They can try him. And instead of trading this dude or going out to get another guy, let's just try to see if LaVisca can be another Deebo Samuel. Or don't do this. You can use Shaq at outside corner. You paid him all of that money. You don't need to go get another safety because Rayshawn Jenkins, he was a pretty good player before he got hurt. He ain't great, but he's okay. And the line is fine. You don't have to add. If I hear one more person go through all of that foolishness with me, why are you acting broke when you don't have to? It doesn't mean you need to get reckless. You can actually sit and eat a ribeye today. You do not have to go in to the store and buy those chicken or meat part franks that ain't even real hot dogs and put them on your plate with a knife and a fork and put steak sauce on it. You ain't got to do that. You ain't got to act poor. You don't have to eat eggs and rice today. You can go have your real breakfast over easy. Steak, a T-bone steak, cheese, eggs, and Welch's grape like Biggie. Act like you can't change until you start to know that you're different. How do you expect to get better when you won't be better? Fake it till you make it. Figure it out. You don't have to be frugal. You got the fifth most cap space in the league. You got the number one pick. Why am I saying that? Because with the number one pick, I do not want to hear one more person tell me, well, pick this guy number one and you can play him over here until he figures it out. When you pick the guy who's number one, you know what you just picked? You picked the guy that's the best player in the draft. And you're going to take him and you're going to put his butt in the fire wherever he's supposed to play. You don't pick no guy and have him moving around when he's the number one pick and trying to babysit him and put a nipple in his mouth and, oh, it's okay, and put a bib on him. You stick his ass out there and you make him play what he was supposed to play. He's the number one dog. He don't want to be babied. He wants you to put him out there so he can show people I was the number one pick and I'm punching you in your face. How we gonna be better when we act like we ain't? How you gonna act rich when you got a pot full of money, but you still acting like you poor? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be frugal or responsible or forget where you came from. But what I am saying is this: ain't nobody gonna believe you getting better and that you're good if you don't act like it. If we pick a guy first overall, he's going where he's supposed to go. We got to baby him. What's wrong? At some point, if you want to be better, you have to do better. And if you're going to do better, you got to think better. And now substitute the word bigger for better. Okay? How you going to convince other people you good and you can't even act like you good? We don't want a rookie this. We don't want, there's going to be a rookie somewhere. I don't care who you pick at number one. I don't care where you pick, who you pick. He's going to be a rookie no matter where you play him. Well, pick the edge rusher. Pick Aiden Hutchinson. He's a rookie. I'd rather have him than a rookie offensive lineman. Okay, so you'd rather have a rookie go against Trent Williams? No, just tell me the truth. What you think? You think Trent Williams going to feel sorry for Aiden Hutchinson? Go through all the good tackles in the league. You think they're going to care? No. But the reason why you're picking a guy like that, number one, is because you know he doesn't care that they don't care. Kayvon Thibodeau ain't gonna give one damn about who's in front of him. It's not disrespecting the game. They are number one for a reason. They are born alphas. They are proven with demonstrated performance in college that they are alpha dogs. Treat them like one. And stop settling for these dudes that's already on the roster. They won 4 games in 2 years. And I know we have the propensity to blame whoever left. And I told y'all to stop doing that too. You're going to blame whoever left like they're the only problem that this organization had. And the funny thing is the people here now keep franchise tagging and keeping, and folks talking about keep DJ Chark too. They keep keeping the guys that the other guy who left picked. So that almost goes to show that everybody kind of thinks that it was just only the fault of the people that left. I don't think so. You need some dogs. You need people, I said this yesterday, you need people that are at least in the top 10 in the league at their respective positions. Let's go with the 49ers. They got about 5 of them. Deebo Samuel is a top 10 wide receiver, right? Nick Bosa is a top 5 defensive end. George Kittle is a top 5 tight end. Fred Warner is a top 10 Mike linebacker. You see where I'm going? Eric Armstead is a top 7 or 8 3 technique. You see where I'm going? You ain't beating no team like that with a bunch of dudes, man, that you're just happy to have them because you're familiar with them. Ain't gonna happen. Jair Alexander, top corner. That Clark kid that they got, Kenny Clark, top nose guard. Aaron Rodgers, of course, top quarterback. Devontae Adams, top wide receiver. That Jones kid they got running the ball at running back. One of the top 10 running backs in the league. David Bakhtiari, one of the top 10 tackles in the league. You see where we're going here? How you going to beat and dethrone these teams? Tyreek Hill, one of the top wide receivers in the league. Travis Kelce, the top tight end in the league. Patrick Mahomes, one of the top 2 tight ends in the league. Chris Jones, one of the top defensive tackles in the league. You see? See what I'm talking about? That's who you got to beat. Derrick Henry, one of the top running backs in the league. Kevin Byard, one of the top safeties in the league. See? We can go on and on and on. That Simmons kid, Jeffrey Simmons, definitely one of the top defensive tackles in the league. You're not beating people with average people that you know. So today what we're going to do is that's my opening soliloquy. This is installment number 4 of the series that I have today. I'm going to get you some more players, man. Yesterday, I got you Teron Armstead, J.C. Jackson, Evan Ingram in free agency, and then Aiden Hutchinson, Jahan Dotson, Jamari Sawyer, Isaiah Spiller, Chad Muma in the draft. Put it all together, had a pretty good team. We're going to go a little less now on free agency in terms of only those 3 big ticket guys. We're going to get more, but a little bit less, a little bit down the totem pole a little bit. And then we're going to switch it up a little bit in terms of who's going to go number 1 in the draft. All right. I'm going to switch it up. I have picked Aiden Hutchinson every single day. I'm not doing it today. I'm going to give you somebody else. We'll go over all of that. Segment 2, we'll do that. And then segment 3, we'll kind of tie this thing all together. And we will do that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars after I tell you guys about this, how to make you some money. Betting on betonline.net. That's right. That's how you get paid. Football season might be over, but basketball is on full throttle. All of these March Madness is around the corner because it's already March, but it's coming, right? And you want to get in on that wild and crazy action. And the best thing to do is to make sure you have the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where the next coach is going to be fired or land. BetOnline.net is the number one spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds right down to the wire. There's a good fight coming up this weekend, and there was a heck of a UFC fight last week, and hopefully you caught a little bit of that. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to sign up to learn more about the trends and the action, because BetOnline is where the game starts. And where you start every single day is right here with me, your man, Tony Wiggins. Doing this for over 10 years now, 11, 12 years, officially 11, 12 years. I've been doing it for 25, but that's a whole nother story. We don't want to date ourselves here on this great show. But, man, listen, let's give you some players. Now that I've gone off on my little, you got to think you're better to be better, to do better, whatever soliloquy in the first segment, let's give you some players. Let's go with free agency, and then we'll go into the draft. I've been hesitant to do this, but let's just say the Jaguars go out and spend big money on guard instead of getting 2. Like early in the week, I gave you Laken Tomlinson and Alex Kappa. Today, I'm going to give you one, Brandon Scherff. Brandon Scherff, who will play right guard for whatever team gets him. I say the Jaguars do it today. Formerly a top 5 pick, probably never ended up living up to that, but has still been recognized as one of the 7 or 8 guys. If you get Brandon Scherff, you're going to have one of the 7, 8, 9 top guards in the NFL. It's going to cost you a pretty penny, but let's just say that they go out and get Brandon Scherff. I'm going to give him Chandler Jones too. I know I said I wasn't going big ticket, but I'm just going to calm it down a little bit. I'm going to give him Chandler Jones. Give him a big-time player on the other side of the ball. This is why the draft will go differently. And this is why you'll probably love it, okay? I'm going to give him Chandler Jones. I'm going to say Chandler Jones, the pass rusher from Arizona, is going to join Brandon Scherff. If that happens in the first day or 2 of free agency, this city will go ballistic. They will absolutely be thrilled and happy. Then you'd have to look for something like this. Is Josh Allen going to get traded? And then they take Hutchinson to go along with Chandler Jones, or will they keep them? And for today's purposes, we ain't going to trade Josh Allen because I told you I'm not doing any trades. So we're going to keep Chandler Jones on the opposite side of Josh Allen. Let's go with Jordan Whitehead as a safety. Yeah, defensive coordinator knows him very well from his days in Tampa. And Tampa has a lot of people to re-sign. Let's just say Jordan Whitehead sneaks through the cracks. He's a little small, but he can tackle and he can cover. You put him back there with Andre Cisco in a split safety situation, and they would just clean up everything and just hope that the corners play really, really well. But I like both of those guys. I'm going to give you Steve Nelson, as I did earlier this week, I believe on 1 or 2 drafts, because I think you need a nickel corner. I do think this team needs an experienced nickel corner. And if they don't go with J.C. Jackson like I did yesterday, they're going to need somebody that's not expensive but tough and knows how to play the slot and could go outside in a pinch too. But Steve Nelson is another free agent that I think might be able to help this club. You still need a receiver, so I'm going to give you Allen Robinson. I'm going to give you A-Rob again. A-Rob right now, because of all of the tags, is the best wide receiver available. He's the guy who is more likely to land back in Jacksonville as a number 1 on the outside to give Trevor Lawrence someone who can win contested balls. And when he's healthy, he can run pretty good too. So let's give him Allen Robinson. All right, so free agency, I give you Brandon Scherff at guard, Chandler Jones at edge, Jordan Whitehead at safety, Allen Robinson at wide receiver, Steve Nelson at nickel to go along with Cam Robinson. So remember that. That's a nice little group. Now we head over to the NFL draft. With the presence of Chandler Jones and with the presence of Josh Allen, I'll say the Jags go with Evan Neal. Now, this continues a theme from yesterday. Let me tell you what that theme was. The theme from yesterday is they kept Cam Robinson and they signed Teron Armstead in free agency because they view Walker Little as a developmental prospect and they view Jawan Taylor as a guy who's fighting for a job. So Walker Little can be your swing tackle in this situation. Cam Robinson moves to right tackle. They draft Evan Neal and play him at left tackle. Or in this situation, to be honest, you can play Evan Neal at right tackle, leave Cam Robinson at left tackle. I don't think this is drafting a guy at number one and playing him where he's not best suited in that scenario, because I think the right and the left tackle position these days is really interchangeable depending on what you're used to. And Evan can play both sides. So he can play both sides equally well. So I do believe that it's always a premium to have him at left tackle, especially with it being the blind side of your quarterback. But I don't think they miss anything here the way that they probably do with Walker Little, because Walker Little doesn't have the experience that Cam Robinson. So this will be a more of the Jonathan Ogden situation where you can play left and right and you're probably better than him at left, but he might struggle a little bit at right. Whereas if we get Teron Armstead has been a left tackle. He ain't moving to right tackle at this stage of his career. So Cam would then move over. But this is a little bit different. We can play Cam at left tackle and you at right tackle if Cam struggles at right tackle just a little bit, or if it makes us better for us to do it that way. So either way, I would probably still play him at left tackle and move Cam to right tackle the way I would if Teron Armstead signed with the team. But that's neither here or there. Doesn't really matter. Either way. The other pick that I would do, I would really show up the offensive line. And I know what y'all thinking. I know what's in y'all little head. Y'all little head is this. Wig, you hopping on that offensive line, man. You want that offensive line fixed so bad. You want to keep adding people. I do. But in this situation, it's also about value. In the mock draft I did to get this particular order, Zion Johnson fell. Now, what Zion Johnson adds for you is a very, very athletic, strong player who can play left guard if Brandon Scherf's at right guard. So, indulge me for a minute. Really. If you go Cam Robinson at left tackle, Zion, and this is also a reason why I said let's put Evan Neal over here at right tackle so you don't have a combination of left tackle and left guard both being rookies. So we'll go left tackle Cam Robinson, left guard Zion Johnson, center Brandon Linder, right guard Brandon Scherf, right tackle, the number one pick in the draft, Evan Neal. You talk about formidable. You talk about protecting Trevor. You're talking about extending drives. More confidence means less penalties. Less penalties means less large down and distance situations. Less down and distance situations that are disadvantageous means more likely that you're going to keep the ball and continue drives going and keep your defense rested. All of that stuff works in unison. I don't know if it's going to happen, but what if they did that? You can't ignore the wide receiver position, even in the draft, because it's a deep group. Let's go with Wan'Dale Robinson again, a slot guy. Now you've added Allen Robinson, and Wan'Dale Robinson and Robinson, to go along with the guys that you already have on the team. And of course, you can have the opportunity to pick up guys later or after the draft in the advanced stages of free agency. But I do think adding those two guys would definitely add a little pop to the offense. Let's stick with the linebacker at the other third round pick and get Chad Muma. I do think they need to address that. And then, of course, I keep saying it, Mike Caldwell was a former linebacker, and you're going to have to chain him up somewhere to keep them from drafting a linebacker to go with. If they don't get one in free agents, you got to chain him up somewhere, because he's going to probably stand on the table and demand that they take one of these flow to the ball fast, instinctive linebackers to go along with Miles Jack. Last but not least, I'm going to say Isaiah Spiller and all these guys are gone, and I'm going to get one of my favorites in the draft, Damian Pierce. That kid blew me away at the draft. So Damian Pierce is your power back because the other two backs are coming off injury. So we're going to recap real quick in segment 3 exactly what we did here today, the work we did. We did some work all week, and we absolutely did some work here today in getting some talent procured for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let me tell you first about Built Bar. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to skip my normal thing that I tell you about Built Bar, and I'm going to just talk about the Built Bar puffs. The puffs are absolutely delicious. I know I've been telling you about salted caramel. I've been telling you about all of these great Built Bars that are covered with 100% chocolate. let me tell you about these cinnamony churros, coconut marshmallow, and banana cream pie protein-infused puffs that Built Bar has produced. They, just like the other Built Bars, are covered with 100% real chocolate. They are, and it's real chocolate. They're low in calorie, high in protein. You can replace your candy bars with these. They're just better. They're just a better snack, and they're healthy. The macros are off the chain. You can check it out for yourself. Go to built.com and look at the macros and pull it up if you don't believe me. I'm telling you, they are that great. And while you're at built.com, use the promo code LOCK15, and guess what you're going to get? You're going to get some money off on your favorite Built Bars. Check them out at Twitter at @bar_built for all the latest information. And remember, the puffs are the truth at Built Bar. You know what else is the truth? You are, for joining us here on Locked On Jaguars and making us your first listen. You can also listen to and join the Locked On NFL podcast every single day. Yours truly is on there on Wednesdays with James Rapine from Locked On Bengals. You got a host of crews, man, that bring it to you every single day, a little bit of different flavor every day, but it's the same consistency. So make sure you like and subscribe to the Locked On NFL podcast wherever you get your podcast. Let's tie it together and conclude with what we did here today. What we did here today was address the fact that we have to think bigger. We have to understand that we have money for lemons. We don't have to squeeze onions anymore to get lemonade, right? You got me? The other thing we have to do is go out and just get some dogs, man. Get guys that are top 10 players at their respective positions around the league. So here's what we did. Brandon Scherff today, along with Chandler Jones, you get an edge, you get a big-time guard. Jordan Whitehead at safety, you get someone who's familiar with the defense that we're going to run here, who can also be the leader in the defensive backfield along with Andre Sisco. Allen Robinson, bringing back a guy who probably never should have left, but he's back now. If he could come back here with Trevor Lawrence, it'll, be like they'll bring that old thing back. It'll feel good. And you won't hear Allen Robinson screaming, man, come on, man, throw the ball right, like he did in practice when Blake was the quarterback. Steve Nelson, you get a good nickel, veteran nickel who can provide some toughness and some leadership for this football team. In the draft, instead of Aiden Hutchinson, because we have two edges in this particular draft, we took Evan Neal from Alabama, Zion Johnson, two straight offensive linemen, to really show up the line to go on with Brandon Scherff and the now franchise tag Cam Robinson. Wan'Dale Robinson, a slot, along with Chad Muma, who can provide some depth as well as competition and speed at middle linebacker, and Damian Pierce. So we only did these little 1 through 4. Go back and review every single day the guys that I decided to add, and you can even mix and match them a little bit. Hopefully it makes sense for you. It made a lot of sense for us to do this here today and to do this all week. I wanted to share this with you because it's a lot that goes into the thinking of team building, especially once Cam Robinson had that tag on him. People started going ballistic and going crazy thinking, does it add flexibility? Does it lose flexibility? I think it's probably somewhere between. I was hard on somebody on Twitter that said it added flexibility. I told him he's crazy, but not so much. I think it's a little bit of, once you take the emotion out of it, that gives you a little bit of balance on both sides. You got to think better, to do better, and to be better. And I hope the Jaguars do that. If you want to be a better person about the NFL draft and want to know what you're talking about, make sure you tune into the Locked On NFL Draft podcast with Ryan Tracy, the Mr. Analytics, and a former NFL corner in Eric Crocker, Big Croc. They break it down, man, and they put this thing together. And every single day, the Locked On NFL Draft, that's a totally separate show. They have their own channel. They have their own podcast, and you guys can tune in to check those guys out every single day. And make sure you like and subscribe and follow them wherever you get your podcast. Enjoy your weekend. I know it's a little bit rainy here in Jacksonville, but enjoy your weekend. Continue to take care of each other. And come Monday, we're going to start working on, I think the tampering period starts, the early tampering period. Let me ask you, how you have an early tampering period? What is that? Tampering is tampering, right? So you tampering early? So what's the early period to the early tampering period? It's the funniest thing, man, when NFL comes up with this stuff. I think it's all marketing, but I do think it's probably a little bit ingenious too. You guys continue to take care of each other, like I said. We'll see you next time here on Locked On Jaguars.